Toni Ross runs the world. We just had a phenomenal podcast, and I'm super excited for you guys to hear about her stories. One of them is she runs barefoot. Yes, that's right, barefoot. She's ran marathons barefoot and consistently runs barefoot with her running club. But guys, surprisingly, that's not actually the most interesting thing about her, because she shared with us how she went from homelessness into a sky-rise penthouse in downtown LA. But I'm excited for you guys to tune into this podcast. Make sure to go ahead and tag her. Let us know what's your favorite part about it, and let us know how you were inspired by her amazing words.
Tell my wife a little bit about your story. What really impressed me was like you ran barefoot. Like for a super.
That's the most impressive of all the stories.
No, definitely not. Definitely. Once I started, diving a little deeper, I was like, okay, that's just the surface. But through all of that, you released back in November, I believe, your like 2 episodes
Right.
for. And what is the podcast called again?
It's called Strip Club After Hours.
Strip Club After Hours.
Yeah,
there you go.
Which means what happens after you leave the industry. Not literally like at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. when the club closes, but like when your whole career in that closes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Getting more insight on it. Yeah. Because I was like, man, that's actually something that I don't see too many people like touching on.
Right, yeah.
You know?
I put some ads like in Craigslist to get guests, but then a lot of people reached out to me that are still in the industry, and they're like, oh, I have great stories about what goes on in the club. And I said, well, I don't want to know. Like, there's already enough like podcasts or whatever YouTube accounts on that. I want stories of like success after you've left the industry.
And the story behind it. Yeah, I got you. So if you were to describe yourself, Toni, who would you be back in high school?
Oh my gosh, in high school.
Were you competitive?
I was this nerdy, quiet, conservative for a while, but there's different parts of high school. Or we're talking like maybe 9th and 10th grade, right? Probably like, really quiet, super like studious, always studying, nerdy, getting straight A's, all that stuff. That was like that part. And then like my junior, senior year, then I was like a teen mom, and I was like crazy, wild, partying, totally different person,
So at what age did you have your first child?
I was 16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay, that was 11th, 10th grade?
11th grade.
11th grade. How was that experience?
It was interesting. God, there's so much to it, obviously. I mean, it was tough. I ended up getting married when I was I still a sophomore? No, wow. I was already a junior. I got married when I was a junior, and then a couple weeks after I got kicked out of school because I went to St. Paul High School at the time and all. Right, it was a co-ed Catholic school in Santa Fe Springs. I got kicked out, and then I thought I was just going to be somebody who was a high school dropout, but my dad looked into it, and he found out that Montebello High School had a teen mother program. So I met with a counselor, and I got signed up, and so it was like the teen mother program at Montebello at that time. It was in one of those things, those portable classrooms, But then, so this is crazy. When you come from like most private schools probably to public, like you're seen as like a genius, right? Like,
yes.
Like the classes I was taking, they didn't even have those levels at Montebello High School. So the school ended up like buying like textbooks, like one for me and then the answer book for the teacher. And it was almost like I had to learn like independent study, just read the chapters myself and then answer the questions. And then the teachers at that teen mother program would like grade my test. And there was a couple of things, I think maybe like trigonometry or calculus or something. I actually went to the actual high school. So then when I had my baby in February, some of the girls would watch my baby, and I'd go to across the street to the high school to take like that class, which is like a higher level. But so then that was my junior year, and then my senior year I had to go back to Sure because that was the school for like the district that I was in. My house, my parents' house was in. But then I already knew I was already pregnant. So the next month I went back to the counselor, and then I ended up going back to Montebello High School, and I had my daughter in May of my senior year. So
wow.
Before I graduated,
May of senior year.
Yeah.
Man. And how did you come up with the name, by the way, for your daughter?
Portia? Oh, so my junior year when I was pregnant with my son, we were reading Julius Caesar, right? And then there's a character in there, Brutus, and his wife's name was Portia, Portia. So there's another story that, though. My parents, they were going to buy me a Porsche when I was 16, but when I ended up getting pregnant with my son, I wasn't gonna get that Porsche anymore. But
Yeah.
then I was gonna get married right in October to the man that had got me pregnant. And I remember my mom telling me, she's like, I don't want you to marry him. She's like, don't marry him, and I'll buy you a Porsche. And to me, like in hindsight now, I should have took the Porsche, but I was like, no, I want to get married. So I got married and I never got the Porsche. So I was going to use that name. Then I was in school, whatever, reading Julius Caesar, and I was like, oh, when my baby's born, I'm going to name it Portia. And I think my son was due like Valentine's Day, so the name was Portia Valentina. But then he ended up being a boy, so I named him after his dad. He's a junior. And then, but then the next year when I was pregnant, even though Portia was born in May, I still kept the name Portia Valentina.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that's a story if I ever heard one for a name.
Yeah,
Okay.
I need to add that to my book then.
For Montebello. Montebello is like middle class, and higher tier of the middle class, you can say, right? Or middle class, definitely. But even then, for Montebello, like for buying your 16-year-old a Porsche, most parents and most kids are not getting that. So what did your parents do for work?
Oh, my mom was a registered nurse. My dad, crazy, I know this will apply to you. My dad sold life insurance, at least at the time when he passed away. Before that, there was a while when he was like a banker, I think for Union Bank. I remember he would take me and my sisters to go to his job at Union Bank because he worked night shift or something. I'm not sure what he did. And then he would just leave us in the cafeteria back when you could do that with your kids. And, me and my sisters would just hang out in the cafeteria, watch TV, and buy snacks from the vending machine and just play around.
Yeah. I was right there too. My mother was not an RN or a bank or life insurance agent. She used to work for LUSD, was a custodian, and she would pick me up from school on her lunch and then take me to her school where she was working at, and I would just hang out in the cafeteria, do my homework too. But cafeteria babies, right on. Yeah. Yeah. Your dad did banking, then life insurance. Your mother was an RN. So, parents had great careers going on. You're about to get a Porsche. You decided to get married, and then life continued. So you mentioned that you had a full scholarship.
I did.
Yeah.
So when I was applying for colleges, I applied for USC, UCLA, Cal State LA, and then, but then like a mailer came in the mail, like a little postcard thing for like DeVry University. Well, it was called DeVry Institute of Technology back then, and they had an accounting program. So that's what I wanted to go to school for. So I checked that box, and like I guess a recruiter, salesperson, whatever, they came to my house, and they were trying to sell the school to me. And then he remembered, like shortly after the whole like meeting, he's like, hey, they have a scholarship program. He goes, I think you should apply to it. And the requirements were, I guess you had to have like a certain GPA score, a certain SAT score, or just GPA things, SAT score. And then if you made it past that, like past the semifinals, then the finalists had to write like something, a 200-word essay, I think, on information technology. So this is like in 1988, when that was like something new, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even really know what it was. And like when you looked at, because back then we didn't have internet, so we had to look at the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
They didn't really say a lot of stuff about information technology. So honestly, you guys, I took the DeVry handbook, and they had a whole thing about information technology, and I just kind of reworded that, and I ended up winning a full ride scholarship to college for 4 years. Yeah.
Wow. And what college was that again?
DeVry.
I'm sorry, DeVry.
Yeah,
DeVry University. Gotcha. Yeah. I remember like seeing all the commercials. Like they had a
really
bunch.
Promoted. Yeah, they had a lot of locations, right?
Yeah.
I think they closed down at least the location. Well, I went to 2 different ones, but they're both closed down now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that school exists. But yeah, so even like the day I graduated high school, so I still graduated high school on time, even with the 2 kids, thanks to like the Montebello High School Teen Miller program. But LA Times released a full page article about me, and like we even continued to another page about me graduating with a scholarship, because they had the statistics, but most people, like even if you only have 1 kid in high school, you don't end up graduating, right? And here I was with 2, and I have a full ride scholarship. Yeah.
Way to beat the odds. Let's go.
Yeah.
Will that article be in the book?
I guess it should be. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Thanks for reminding me. I think I wasn't even going to mention it.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something quite impressive. Like, man, not only did you beat the odds, but you got the full ride, and I'm pretty sure there was other students that obviously had no kids, and they maybe didn't get FAFSA or nothing. Yeah, but who would you say, like, growing up influenced you more? Was it your father or your mother?
I'll probably have to say my mom. She was a hustler. She came from the Philippines, where like we went to go visit once. Like there was no running water, no electricity, anything like that.
Yeah.
And she went to college, and then She went to school for nursing, and then I guess this company in Canada, I think, or some company recruited her like for her nursing to go to Canada. So she lived in Canada like in 68, 69, I think. And then she told them it was like too cold if they could move her to somewhere warmer, and that's how they moved her to Los Angeles. And she went to Good Samaritan Hospital, which is where I was born, and that's where she met my dad somewhere in LA too, and that's how. So, but she to go from somewhere where there's no like running water, no electricity, like that island, right? To she built the house like from the ground up that we lived at in Montebello. It's like it's like I think you probably like Liberty up there, up on the hills with a nice view. She had a huge, like a really pretty view. Yeah, and she put a pool in there and just all that. So like really, like she was a hustler, like really successful.
She really built that thing.
Yeah, I think even for a while she was working like 2 hospitals, Good Samaritan, I think California Hospital, which is now called Dignity Hospital. I remember my dad would drop her off at work and she would take me and my sisters, to like drop her off at work and stuff. But yeah, so I think that's me and my sisters, we always have more than one source of income. And I think we got that from seeing my mom have more than one source of income. Yeah.
Definitely. Was your dad born here or?
No, he was from the Philippines too. And then I don't know what year he came here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What's your mom's name?
Elderica, or Dari. She passed away already before COVID, like January 2020. And my dad passed away in that time that I was in high school. Yeah. So before Portia was born and after my son was born, my dad passed away like 5 months after my son was born.
Wow.
Yeah, he got meningitis. But yeah, he's a person I owe him all the gratitude for finding a school for me to go to so I could continue high school,
Yeah. And how many siblings did you have?
2 siblings.
2 siblings. Sisters or?
Sisters, yeah.
Both sisters. And then
So we're all like 1 year apart. Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay. Nice. Were you on the younger side? The older
I'm
side?
the oldest.
The oldest, okay.
Both my sisters graduated from Sacred Heart of Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even that, in 8th grade, I got a full ride scholarship to that school, to Sacred Heart of Mary.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a long story. I felt like my mom didn't even care. Like when I told her, I was like, "Mom, I got this scholarship." She's like, "Just hurry up and get in the car." Like she never really acknowledged it or whatever. She didn't care. So then I didn't want to go to an all girls school. So like after my freshman year, I told her, I want to go to a co-ed school because my best friend was going to St. Paul in Santa Fe Springs. I want to go to school there. And my mom kind of put up a fight. I was like, this is rebellious to me. I go, if you don't let me go to that school, I'm going to do something to get kicked out anyway. So, so they ended up letting me leave. And then I think what they ended up doing though with my scholarship is they split it with my sisters, like 50-50. So they transferred it to them.
Oh, wow. That's cool actually. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So because nowadays it'll just go to waste. Maybe not a waste, but
they have these like little clauses.
Course,
you can't transfer. Yeah, but
that's awesome.
But I feel like they were a little different. They didn't have their kids till they're 20. So this is the thing about going to Montebello High School and that teen mother program and being a teen mom is like every day there was classes. There was like nurses coming in, or I'm not sure, but like people were teaching us like how to cook healthy meals, how to burp your baby, how to bathe your baby, like how to take your baby's temperature. And I remember like by the time you have your baby, you are so skilled in how to care for a baby. Where I was like, what is that? 99.9% of adults, you just have babies and you don't know. They don't teach you all that.
They don't.
So I thought I was more prepared having my 2 kids in high school than my sisters were having their kids like in their 20s,
Like as an adult already.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Man, I've never even heard that they offered these classes in high school. One of the titles of one of your episodes, it's like from homeless to Penthouse.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Which took a lot of years. It didn't happen. It didn't happen overnight. I know some people have they're like 19 and they're already in a penthouse.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so in that time that I was in college, I started dating this long story, I started dating this guy, and then I got pregnant with my 3rd kid. I was getting really nauseous, so I couldn't go to work, and by now I had moved and I got an apartment way out in Upland, but my job was in LA. So I sometimes I couldn't even drive there. I'd have to open the car door, be throwing up outside the car door, right? So I didn't go to work, and then I got one of those 3-day notices to pay rent or quit, which I now know people stay for years even once they get one of those. But I didn't know, the honest Catholic school girl me. I was like, in 3 days I'm not gonna have the rent. So we moved out and we lived in my car. And that husband at the time, he didn't work, so we ended up just living in the car. It was like winter time, like from November of '91 to like March of '92, and I remember it was freezing, it was raining, and so I remember more being cold than I remember being hungry. So I don't know why that is, but I remember shivering and like we do so many crazy things, like take people's mail from their mailbox. I know this is so bad, but I learned from DeVry because I went with another girl to pick up like a fake ID. She picked up like a fake ID, like one of those temporaries though. So I learned off of that. I learned how to make a fake ID. So I would go to the DeVry like computer room and I would make these fake IDs, to cash or to pull money out from people's credit cards or cash checks that came in people's mail. Yeah, I did a lot of scams. Yeah, a lot of things just to get money for but yeah, the money would come, go, we'd be back in the car. We maybe went stay in a motel. We had some really crappy motels. We'd stay there for a little bit. Yeah, and then
Motel 8, not the 6.
It's so crazy. I seen one on the 10 freeway yesterday when I was driving back from Vegas. I was like, oh, I think that's where I stayed. I wanted to drive back and see, like, what does it look like now?
Yeah. Because see, for me, when I heard your story, I was like, I wonder the drive that you have today, and that I was wondering if it developed, during that hardship, or did you have it since like high school, since you were a teenager? So, but the answer that I got from you, obviously, a lot of influence came from your mother, and it sounds to me like you've always been hustling your whole life. It's just been in different seasons of your life.
Oh, yeah.
You're applying yourself on that.
In high school, even before. Any goal I have in mind, man, I'm going to accomplish it. In 4th grade, I already knew I wanted to be a teen mom. So then I accomplished that twice, right? I surpassed my goal. I got 2 kids in high school. Yeah.
The one thing though, so you went through the stage. Was your husband? It was your husband, right? That you were with. Like, was he working? Like, was he not working by choice? Did he have some problems, or?
Oh yeah, I don't know. This was my second husband, right? So the first husband ended up being a drug addict, alcoholic, so I had to leave him.
Yeah.
And we were only together. We were only married for like 10 months. And then whatever, we got divorced, and then I married this next guy. But yeah, when we got married, it's like he was really abusive though. He would beat me up all the time, right? He would, like, I don't know, it's a lot of stuff. He would lock me in the house. So then I remember one of the times I was like, what can I do to make you stop beating me up? And he said, tattoo my name on you. So I did. It's like lasered off though, but I tattooed his name on me. So a week later, he's still beating me up, right? So I was like, what can I do for you to stop beating me up? He's like, let's go get married. I go, let's do it. So I had like a gray t-shirt. Like, back then they called them biker shorts, right? But they're kind of like our running shorts now, but they were made of cotton. I had like my high top tennis shoes and my scrunch socks, and we drove to Reno, Nevada, and we eloped. But he had a job at that time. So now we drive back to his job. He worked at a hotel, like doing banquet serving, I guess. We drove to his job, and I thought he was just going to pick up his paycheck, or that's what he told me. And then when he got back in the car, he's like, oh, I quit my job. And I was like, what? This is before we got home. I was like, what? So now I'm taking care of him too, right? Because now I instantly have a husband, and now he's instantly an unemployed husband. So then, I ended up taking care of him. And I don't know, I guess he just wasn't motivated to work. I learned, because I get into relationships too quick. I learned later, like, he never even graduated high school, or I think he never even passed 9th grade. He had dropped out. He was like dyslexic. So I guess it's weird. He couldn't really hold down a job either. He did try a couple times when we were together. Like, he worked at a kind of like a hometown buffet or something like that. But then he felt like his coworkers were racist, and he quit. Like, I don't even think he worked a month, and he quit. And then another time, right, because now I'm working all these clubs and making tips as a waitress, bartender, whatever, and I could take home over $100 like in a day in tips. And then he would go to work, and I remember his paycheck once was like $70 for the week, and then he quit. He's like, well, he goes, it only takes you a day to make this. He goes, it makes no sense for me to work only a week make this or something. So he quit, and so now I'm taking care of him again, you know. And then, so I just always, so now I'm taking care of myself, my now 3 kids, and this unemployed husband.
Wow. And then, like, what kept you going? Like, what was that, like, conversation with yourself that you were just like, all this is going on, right? And now you're taking care of another child, and you're like, I still got to go. Because so many people, they get so caught up in just any situation that they're in, and they stay stuck. It's like a deer caught in the headlights. But you kept on going. And what I truly love to focus on, like when we were talking, right, is hey, what is that driving you? Because motivation is very temporary. A drive is like consistent. It's coming from you, within you, and you're putting it out to the world. Motivation is more like the world is putting it into you, and let's see how long that lasts. Right? So what was like that process that kept you going? It could be simple, it could be more in depth, but everybody's different.
I think I know what it is. Like whatever. When I was pregnant with my son when I was 16, I remember hearing my aunt and my mom talking, and my aunt was saying, "Oh, she's going to be a loser. She's going to stay at home with you for the rest of her life. This and that." And I remember listening to that and saying, "What? I'm not going to be a loser. I'm not going to stay home for the rest of my life." And I think that's what always was my drive. Even if I don't think about it like now or 10 whatever, like that was in there. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going to be a loser. And I did end up being more successful than my sisters who weren't like teen parents. My sisters ended up staying with my mom, living with her. I think that until they were like in their 40s. Or maybe like 30s or something like that. Yeah. So I always made sure I was always progressing and getting better and better. Maybe to prove to my aunt and my mom I'm not going to be a loser.
Right. And then would you say that your mom was like unconditional love?
No. I don't know. I didn't have a good relationship with her. I'll just say. I mean, not that she was horrible or whatever. I think
Right.
she was. I don't know. Is it like those tiger moms? Like she just had high expectations. If I got
Right.
an A minus, I was still in trouble because it wasn't an A. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause like,
yeah.
like I told you, I got a full scholarship for 4 years to this high school. My mom didn't even care. It was just
Right.
like it was like, yeah, you're supposed to do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know?
4.0 GPA. Why was it a 4.2? Yeah, you know, type of. Yeah, very, very similar. Yo, my mom used to rip up my homework because she didn't like my handwriting, and I'm like, I did my homework. She was like, that's not looking nice. And I'm like, what the? You know, over here, my friends' parents couldn't even get them to do the damn homework. My mom's over here worrying about my penmanship.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so this is something that this gentleman said in a podcast. Actually, it's Patrick Bet David. He's the one that founded this company,
just
right?
Turned me on to that.
Okay, so he's like the one consistent thing that I keep on seeing in successful people that defied all the odds. He's like, they had somebody that gave them, whether it was tough love, but it was still unconditional love, and there's somebody that they had to, you know, whether it was literally made up in their head or a reality, but they had to prove them wrong. No matter what, they had to prove them wrong. So there's always those two right there present in their life. And I look at mine and I'm like, yeah, it's very similar. You know, people always talking smack. You know, you're not gonna become shit. You're gonna be a drug addict. You're gonna be another statistic, whatever the case is, right? And you'll be lucky if you're not in jail for the rest of your life past 20. And I was like, damn, like, and you know, it's a constant thing. I still tap into that feel a little bit. I try to not do so much because I feel like love can go further than hate, but hate is still very powerful. You know, hate will get you out of some tough situations, but I feel like love is what allows you to build. You know, hate is what allows you to hit that little NOS button real quick, you know, like in that 370Z out there. but love is what keeps it going. You know, that was what keeps it going. So, okay, you definitely had somebody to prove wrong. And
even later, I remember later, after being homeless and all that, I even got this really nice house in Chino Hills. I remember my aunt coming in when I had a party for one of the kids, and she's like, "Oh, how much does your mom pay for this?" That's why I used to always hate it. She always felt like my mom was paying, like, and I had my kids in Catholic school. She's like, "Oh, you know, does your mom pay for all that?" I was like, "No, she doesn't pay for any of it," you know. But yeah.
Wow, still in disbelief.
Yeah, still in disbelief.
Wow. And what are your aunts still around by any chance?
Oh, she's still around.
Yeah.
I know. You know, it's so funny. Hopefully my cousins never see this, but it's like, you know, so my two older kids, right? They're half white and I'm Filipino. So I remember my aunt saying, "Oh, you know, why didn't you marry Filipino? Blah blah blah. Now your kids aren't. They're not gonna be anything. Blah blah because they're not full Filipino." Like she was like totally putting them down.
Yeah.
So and I was like the oldest of the cousins, or there's one old cousin older than me, but I was like pretty much the oldest of the cousins. So now fast forward, all of my aunt's grandkids are all half white. She has 3 kids, right? And I almost want to tell her, "Do you remember when you told me my kids weren't going to be shit?"
Yeah. Let me every family gathering. Let me bring a mirror real quick. You feel me? Let me bring that little bottle of some Act Right and spoon feed it. But okay,
all of them are half white.
Right on, man. Right on. These are the type of stories that I love to hear. You know, like you prove them wrong. Yeah, you had to go through some stuff to get to some stuff, but you went through it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Or even being homeless. That's why I was homeless. So now that kid that I was pregnant with was half black, and my mom was really racist. So she kind of disowned me, which is why I couldn't go to her when I thought I couldn't afford the apartment. I had to figure it out on my own. Yeah. So that was probably good. Like, I don't know if it's good tough love, but yeah, I never had my family to rely on. I always only had myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, if you ever needed some motivation, there you go. It's like you can't turn nowhere.
Yeah, bad. They would even support, like, I had 2 different abusive husbands. They supported, like, when we broke up, where I had to get restrained, or the police got, like, issued restraining orders, my family let them in.
Wow.
Yeah, protected them, yeah. It's a lot. But
Yeah. So wait, they let in.
like they let my husband's had to leave the house, right? At different times, but had to leave the house because there was restraining orders or whatever. And then I didn't know for a while, but then I was like, "Where are you staying?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm at your mom's, like your mom and your sisters." Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was bad. Yeah. I remember going to my mom's house one time and they're like, "You're not allowed here." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it was bad. They called the cops on me. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, they called cops on you, but not
Yeah.
them. That's wild.
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "There's police reports. There's pictures." I go, "The police are the ones who did the restraining order." They were mad at me that there was a restraining order. You know, I was like, "You can even ask the kids, and they'll tell you the abuse is going on." But yeah, they sided with like my ex.
Okay, so now we're in the part of you bounced back. You had several jobs. You were an accountant in the morning. You were working bartending at night, right?
Yeah, whatever, bartending, waitressing, stripping, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, just making it happen. But it was that part in your story when you were telling it that your daughter's friends showed you a penthouse, right? And I'm like, man, these penthouses, like, they're not even like $500,000. They're like 1.5 and above. So how were you able to gradually move into a penthouse?
Well, I didn't even in my head. I saw that and I was like, my God, that's so beautiful. So right away, I like went on my laptop and I was like, I just Googled downtown LA lofts, because I guess it was like a loft. I was like downtown LA lofts, and then it connected me to, like, there was one realtor, I guess, that specialized in that. So I scheduled an appointment that Saturday. She took me on a tour of, like, man, I remember my feet were hurting, like all over downtown LA. We walked to all these different lofts, but they would be like, the buildings were only like 3 or 4 stories high. Like your view would be like a homeless encampment or like one of those old buildings in downtown where like the windows are broken and these old curtains are like hanging out the window. And I was like, I go, I'm not gonna pay this much money to like have that for my view. So then like finally, God, there's another story to this. But anyways, finally I was like, you don't understand. I go, I need a high-rise view with a view of Staples Center, right? This back then. So I was like, I need a view of Staples Center. So then she took me to the place I'm at, and it was a brand new building. Like there wasn't that many people who had lived there yet. And so I told them, okay, I want a view of like south, north, east, west, right, the whole thing. So they took me on all the different ones, and I picked the one that faced like Staples Center. And they told me I could pick any floor because not that many people live there. So my lucky number 17, I said I'll live on the 17th floor. And then so I was scheduled to move in at some certain date, and then the leasing agent, because it's just a rental, the leasing agent called me, and then he was like, hey, Toni, you don't want to live in the penthouse? And I said, what? And he's like, I go, what's the difference? And he's like, oh, he goes, it has like higher ceilings and it has like a white ceiling. He goes, but it's pretty much the same floor plan as the other ones. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, can you check and make sure like my income and everything is good enough for that? So he's like, I'll call you back. So he called me back. He's like, yeah. He goes, you're good if you want it. So I was going to move in with my youngest son at the time. So I talked to him first. I was like, hey, do you want to live in a penthouse? He's like, yeah. And I said, okay, we're going to live in. That's how it happened.
Who's going to say no?
Yeah. So that's how that happened. I didn't even really look for it. It just kind of landed in my lap. Yeah.
Wow. So right now you're running the Venus Run Club, right? Mm-hmm. Did you start it or?
Yeah, I started that too.
And what made you start that?
So it's a strip club. I mean, it's a run club at a strip club, and it's the one that I worked at and bartended at from like 2006 up until COVID, till 2019. You know, and I kind of felt I got inspired by. I should say this. One of the customers that used to come to Venus, I remember later I ended up running. Sorry, I'm gonna mix them up. It's either Long Beach Run Club or Long Beach Running Club. I ran with one of them, and then later on, this guy texted me. He's like, "You don't remember who I am?" Right? He was like the leader, and I was like, "No." And then he's like, "From the club," and I was like, "What club?" Right? And I thought like a regular club. Like I went to so many regular nightclubs. I go, "What club?" And then it clicked. I was like, "Oh, are you talking about Venus?" And he's like, "Yeah, me and my buddy used to go there." And he said his buddy's name, and I remembered them, like where they sat, what we would talk about. And I remember thinking, that's so crazy. I go, this guy has a run club. I go, and he wasn't even a runner when I met him, right? And I go, and here I've been running for years and I don't have a run club. So I didn't do it right away, but that's kind of what inspired me. And then I guess it just kind of fit my schedule. I picked like Wednesdays, and I kind of thought I want to like inspire like that demographics. I mean, those customers, they just drink beer and they just sit there all day long, you know? And I was like, you know, even if I could inspire like one or two, like to get healthy and like lose weight and just be more fit or whatever, you know, that was like really my goal. And then some of the dancers too, or bartenders, you know? So yeah, I don't always have a big turnout, and I don't care. I'm still there consistently every Wednesday.
Yeah.
I like some people from my run group have like now never been a runner and now run marathons, you know, around the world. Let's see, some of the dancers too. I just had one dancer, come to me last Thursday saying she wants to run a half marathon, like the Disney half marathon. So she's like, I'm gonna start running with you. Yeah, so just by being there present, like people have seen me, people have seen me for like, right, because I've had it since 2022, and they maybe never came, but then eventually something happens and they're like, oh, I want to run with you. Like one guy, I guess, he got a DUI and he was in jail like for this DUI, and he said, man, when I get out of here, he's like, I'm gonna go and run Toni's Run. Like he was thinking about me while he's in jail, you know? Yeah, so that just like inspiring people.
Yeah, because there's one thing being part of a running club, and then there's another thing having your own running club.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, because that's when I joined the running community, because you know you do it on your own, right? And it has so many health benefits, and especially for like your mindset. Because I always tell people, I'm like, look, bro, whenever you feel like you're anxious or something, try to go. If you can't run, go for a walk. But if you could run or at least kind of like, you know, sprint and then walk the rest, I feel like your mind and your body catches up to your thoughts, and you can start just thinking in the present And instead of just looking at the problems, you start looking at solutions.
Right.
Right. So so now you have 3 years with the running club?
Yeah.
Okay, so Venus Running Club, and obviously you chose it because you know that's where you were working at, and that's who you wanted to impact, right?
Yeah, I did for a while to go to like another club. Like I was trying to switch it up to be closer to LA, but I realized I don't know. Like I like Venus and I'm loyal to that, and I've been there, and it's like family. I know it's hard to explain, but it's a different kind of strip club where you're like even the customers and the girls like we're kind of like family and we all know each other. Like a customer recently passed away and a bunch of us went to like his funeral. You know, it's like I know it isn't like. And I've worked at other clubs where like the girls do not hang out with the customers, and the customers don't hang out where it's that. But this is like a different vibe, and I just like want to stay and support there and just be consistent. You know.
Where is it located at?
It's in the city of Stanton, which I never knew where that was either. But it's on Beach Boulevard, just south of like Knott's Berry Farm, like between Westminster and Buena Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's. I always thought like it was in downtown LA, like around downtown LA.
Really? Yeah, no, it's in Orange County. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that's probably why a lot of people don't come in. There is a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
For a while too, like for 371 days, I didn't have a car, so I would take the train from downtown LA to Buena Park, and then either Uber from Buena Park to there, or I can't. Yeah. So yeah, I'm loyal to it. Yeah.
Wow. That's commitment if I ever heard any. You would bust it all the way over there.
Yeah, and I always think people always tell me, "Oh, Toni, I can't go to that club; it's so far." And like what they didn't even realize is too, like, man, sometimes I'm taking the train to go to your run club, but that's fine, you know. Like I didn't explain that, you know. But yeah, I feel if you wanted to, you would do it, right? So
that's what I always tell people. I'm like, listen, it's not that you have time; you make time for what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's always time to Netflix and chill.
Right.
Somehow, right?
I don't know. I haven't had Netflix in like 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, but the people, the people that tend to make the excuses, you know, they there's always time for that. But all right, and then so what inspired you is to be able you're aspiring to inspire others, you know, and anything. Because I wanted to ask you, why did you start running barefoot?
Oh, I learned about it. I thought it was crazy too. Okay, so I went to Iceland in 2018 to run a marathon. And it's even a long story how I even met this guy. Should I say this? Okay, I do this thing called couch surfing.
And prior to that, because we were talking about how you went to Tony Robbins, and then we did the coal fire walk.
We walked on the hot coals.
And
yes,
it was just the transition from the coal walk back to the stadium that me and my wife had to do. Like at 1 a.m. You did it too. You did it out here in LA. We did it in New Jersey. But I was like, Jesus,
that was painful.
Like yes,
not the coals. The walking to the coals on the street. Yes.
Yeah, and now running even half a mile barefoot, I can only imagine, you know, how many pebbles there are right there. So I'm sorry to interrupt right there, but go ahead and proceed. I just want to lay down that background info around there.
Okay, yeah. So I do this thing called couch surfing, right? Where people, it's like Airbnb, but people stay with people for free. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It happens. There are generous, kind people in this world who will let you stay at their house for free. I do it too. I let travelers stay in my house for free. So in November, this guy had asked to stay at my house, but that's when in 2017 I was busy like traveling and running the world, and I feel bad, but I told him no. So somehow he followed me on Instagram, and now fast forward like 10 months later, I'm running a marathon in Iceland, and he pops up on my Instagram. Oh, because he was in Dancing with the Stars. So I was like, I go, are you the dancer or the star? He goes, I'm the star. And I was like, what? So I click on his profile, and it says he's from Reykjavik, right? Or is that how you say Reykjavik? I don't know how to say it. So I said, what? I go, I'm running a marathon there, like whatever it was, like in 2 weeks. He goes, I'm running it too. He's like, let's meet up. And I was like, okay. So after I ran the marathon, he was texting me. We ended up meeting. It's around, and we ended up. He told me to go to an area, and I'm at the bathroom, like with my friends, waiting for them to use the bathroom. And I look, and I see this guy on the stairs, and he's looking at me. And then he's like, Toni? And I was like, Sylvie? And he said, yeah. So he ends up hanging out with us, talking with us, like telling us how to tour Iceland and stuff like that. And then later on that day, he invites me to his place. So I remember... what's that guy's name? Steve Harvey saying, I think it was Steve Harvey, you can judge somebody by the books they have in their library. So he had a bunch of books, right? So he went to pour a glass of wine, and I'm looking at his books, and I have all the same books except for this one by Wim Hof. And I told him, I was like, oh, I have all the same books you have. I go, except for this Wim Hof. And he's like, oh, he goes, you haven't heard of that guy? And I think he told me that he like runs barefoot or something like that. And I said, what? And so this guy, Solvi, he said he hikes barefoot in Iceland. And like all the same things, like, what, doesn't that hurt? Don't you get things stuck in your feet? And he's like, no, it's like the greatest thing. So I think I must have bought the ebook or something for Wim Hof, and I listened to it on the plane, I think, because as soon as I came back to LA, I started running barefoot. Like the Claremont, I don't know if you heard of Claremont Loop, it's a 5-mile trail. I ran Griffith barefoot, And the very next week, I had a 5K to do in downtown LA. So everyone had asked if I was going to do it barefoot when I was there. And I was like, no, I just started training like this week, right? I'm not going to do it. But when I got to the start line, I thought, well, I won't know if I don't try. I go, let me see how I do. So I took off my shoes, and my only goal was to not be last. And I ended up placing first in my age group. And I've never placed first, second, third, 10th, anything in my age group with shoes on, you guys. Yeah, I told everybody, and they were like surprised too. Yeah. So since then, I have placed first female overall barefoot.
Wow.
Like I do run faster barefoot than with shoes on. Yeah.
What do you think that might be?
Oh, I think it's because it's your body's natural form. I feel like I'm running on a cloud when I run barefoot. I feel like I'm on a cloud. Yeah. So for my 100-mile race, my feet can't handle. I'm not that trained to run 300 miles barefoot. But I'll probably do the first 10 barefoot, the last 10 barefoot, and then somewhere in the desert, I do want to do it barefoot.
Wow. That's crazy, but it makes so much sense. Like that's the natural way.
I don't know, you're just like connected to the earth and the ground. And, like I feel it. Like I went to Hawaii, I was hiking with shoes on, and I thought, man, I want to take off my shoes. And yeah, it was like this rocky trail. It felt good. Like the creek was running through my feet. I don't know, it didn't hurt me. Like I don't know, the sharp rocks don't hurt me. Right. Yeah, whatever you think would hurt doesn't. I think somebody too, I did Berlin and I did Portland, and somebody was asking me about the cobblestones, like, oh, the cobblestones must hurt. And I said, no, they actually feel good because they're soft and rounded. They kind of, it was like almost like massaging my feet while I was running through the cobblestones, you know? Yeah.
Man, I 100% believe it, because that's literally what the whole point of walking over the hot coal with Tony Robbins is about. Like, it's literally just mindset.
Right.
So if you focus on the sharp objects, that's what you're going to be feeling. But if you just focus on the actual nature, connecting, recharging, and what you're there for, to enjoy yourself, have fun, and get it in.
Yeah, man, it feels good.
Wow. And then you briefly like just blazed over that you've been running all over the world. So by the way, your Instagram handle is Toni Ross runs the world.
Yeah, I just changed it to that.
Yeah, but it's so accurate because you literally run all over the world, right?
Yeah, I've been to 6 continents, maybe 14 states. Yeah, the only continent I have left is Antarctica. But yeah, I ran all over. Right? Imagine for me being somebody homeless, you guys, like a teen mom, like I never even thought I would be able to travel the world and run marathons. And I'm an unsponsored athlete. I think the only time somebody paid for me was last year when I did the Nipsey Hussle Marathon team. I got a free bib that time. But yeah, other than that, I just pay for it myself.
Wow. So what's been the most, like, I can't say, for lack of a better word at the moment, most impactful like country that you've been to? Well, something that like you were like, man, like it changed your perception. I don't know, maybe on life or on something.
Wow. Okay. So, I didn't run there. I ran in Australia. Australia, and I ran that whole race injured, the whole 26.2 miles, right? And then, but I already had a flight to Fiji booked right after that. So I went to Fiji. I couldn't even swim or snorkel or anything. My knee was like so swollen. I was in a lot of pain. But I couch surfed with this lady, Tiki, and she lives, and the reason why I did it was in her little couch surfing ad, she says there's no running water, no electricity, like you're like living off the land. And I said, that's how my mom lived in the Philippines, right? I go, I want to experience that again. So she actually meets you at the airport. She has this boat. It's like a 2-hour boat ride, you guys, to her island. And I mean, we're talking, you have to sit on the bottom of the boat. The waves are like high, like you could get thrown out of this little boat. It was scary, right? There was a storm going on. It was crazy. Anyways, we made it to the island. And then, there's no stores there. There's no, like nothing. So she cooks for you too. So in addition to staying with her for free, you get free food, you know, and everything she cooked was really good. She had like an outdoor kitchen. There was a storm the first day though, so she cooked indoors. But God, what did I learn from that? You know, it was weird. So then she you know, took us through her little village, I guess. You know, we met like the chief and all that stuff. And I noticed like, gosh, you know, nobody here cares about like what they're wearing. Like, you know, like their shirt doesn't necessarily match like their wrap or their shorts. Like they might have like mismatched shoes or something like that, but they're clothed, right? And I go, how crazy here. Like nobody really judges you or anything like that. And it's like, just like really nice. Like that doesn't really matter. Like you don't have to have like name brands and things like that. So it kind of like changed me, even though I still have some stuff with brands. I try to wear unbranded stuff, you know, and just and I honestly, like, I don't care. Like you know how everyone's like all into like Garmin watches. Like no, like I don't need a Garmin watch. I ran 40 full marathons, 30 half. I've even placed first female. I've never used a Garmin. I don't need it now, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, and just like that minimalist life, you know, like and so like I don't have a lot of stuff in my house either. I try to be very minimalist because when you die, you guys, you can't take all that with you. Like what are you collecting all that for and saving it for, you know?
No, 100%. And I'm in that part of my life where I'm beginning to minimalize. You know, I've always been like damn near a hoarder. Yeah, damn near a hoarder. Yeah, I got that from my mom. I mean, you go to her house, you go to her closet, it's just full of stuff with tags still and all that. She's
that
not.
was my mom and my sisters.
Yeah, she's not like name brand, but still like same pair of shoes, like 4 different colors, and she only wears one because that's her favorite color type of style, right? But I something that I'm seeing from you is that because I'm always interested in like what continues to be the drive, right? And it just seems that you by choice you choose to do the hard things in life, and I wouldn't say it's an easy life, but I always see that when people choose to do the easy things in life, they always end up having a hard life, And
Yeah, if you're too comfortable, there's a saying about that, right? If you choose comfort, I can't remember something else. It's hard later.
And it's touching on that point, but you seeking out there with that lady in the Philippines, right?
Oh no, Fiji.
Fiji, and going through that storm in that little boat, and then staying with her, pouring rain and home cooked
and it was like
meal.
a little shack. You're sleeping on the floor. I don't know. I loved it though. I loved it. There was no lights at night, so like the people in the village, they'll gather at somebody's home and they just sing songs with their little like ukulele or something. Yeah, it was just really nice, There's like no TV. I don't have a TV, you guys. I haven't had one since 2021 either. I don't watch the news. I know I'm so much. And you guys, it hasn't killed me yet. I know. I find out things that are important on the news through people telling me, which is how they did it in the 1800s, right? When they didn't have TV or radio, it was word of mouth. You find out when a war is starting, when a war is ending. I don't know who's president. You'll find out.
Oh yeah,
people.
yeah.
So it's like, to me, it's like it's not necessary. I spend my time doing other things, being active, traveling, running.
You spend your time living.
Yeah.
Living. So are you like an active reader?
I am off and on. Yeah.
Okay, off and on. What's one of the greatest books that you read recently? That you would recommend?
Something about game changers or something. I can't remember the title of it. I think the word game changers.
Game changers. Is that one of the recent ones that we've had? Maybe my wife, she'll pull it up right now. But okay, game changers.
Yeah, and I like all those other power of whatever, like power of the other, right? That's like really true. Like when you like LA Marathon that's coming up, if you haven't ran it, man, you get your energy and your power. You could be so tired. It's from the people along the route cheering you on who aren't running. Yeah, like those cheer, like right. If you're a part of a run group, when you see your run group, you could be so tired. You don't even want to run anymore, and you see your run group and that energy you get from them. Now you can run, right?
That's the first thing that I noticed, because like I told you, I've always been like a lone wolf runner, right? Just doing everything on your own, and it was mainly just out of I guess convenience and time, right? Those two kind of merged together. But once I bumped into a running club and I went there, I seen the difference, and it's exactly what you're saying. Because when you're running alone, when you have good energy, there's no problem, But when you had a tough day, you low energy, maybe you're feeling a little under the weather. It's like, yeah, good luck on that run, bro, or good luck even doing the run. But then when you go and meet up with your running club, and they're like, hey, let's go, let's do it. All of a sudden, like you're 100%. As soon as the run's over, who knows how you're gonna be? But during the run, you're like, yeah.
You forget how tired you were for that minute. Yeah.
Yes. So something huge that I used to say at the beginning of this podcast is energy is a form of frequency, and your frequency is what you frequently see, And then what I added to it is, and it is also what you frequently attract, because I've always seen you, and whether it's on camera or at other events through other people, you're always smiling and you always have high energy, And I wanted to ask you this: what's your diet looking like? Because I know that it has something to do with it. Now I know that the majority has to come with you.
I'm an anomaly. I don't have a good diet at all.
No,
I don't. I eat McDonald's at mile 19 of every LA marathon. I've probably done that since 2018. And like other, like so Dubai too, at mile 19 they had a McDonald's. I ate McDonald's in Dubai. Sometimes people would bring me the food. So Chicago, New York, Miami, somebody brought me the McDonald's like to eat around mile 19.
Is that like just a tradition, or is that?
Yeah, that's now a tradition. Yeah,
okay,
it's now a tradition that I do. But I still eat McDonald's. I was gonna eat Ari's chili cheese fries today since I was in Montebello, but I didn't have time. I probably get it on my way home. Yeah, I'm actually not. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a healthy eater. I hardly eat vegetables.
Really?
Yeah. I say that. I joke, right? It's the preservatives in the McDonald's. It's preserving me. Because I'm 53. 53. 5 kids, 4 grandkids.
The preservatives in McDonald's. Maybe. Maybe you got a different
I
process
have a
system.
busy life. I'm fast paced. I don't cook. If you guys, I know I did 75 hard. I need to post all my days of 75 hard, but you'll see. I eat fast food all the time.
And you ate it during 75 hard, like the fast food, or you
I
just
tried to
ate
get something
healthier
healthy.
choices?
I think I ended up eating a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But yeah, no, I think so. Like 75 hard though. Like I try not to do. I can't remember. No, because I picked a pescatarian diet. So whatever it was, to make sure it was like pescatarian.
Yeah, it simplifies things. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 75. We've done it. I've done it 2 or 3 times. I forget, and then we've done it once together.
So, and I don't call it 75 hard. I call it 75 sexy because I only drank 100 ounces of water. Because when I drank the gallon, I got sick. I ended up going to Kaiser twice. Yeah, it makes me, by the 3rd day, I'm like so thirsty. And then like I end up feeling sick, like I have the flu and I'm like nauseous and stuff. And at first I couldn't figure out what it was until the second doctor was saying probably all that water, like I needed like more electrolytes and salt. So I started adding electrolytes and salt tablets and stuff like that. And I would still get really sick. And I just kind of felt like, I think maybe 100-pound person, even though I worked out a lot and sometimes I did 4 workouts in a day, I think a gallon was like still too much. I would still feel so thirsty and so nauseous. So I cut it down to like 100 ounces. And yeah, so to be fair, I don't call it 75 hard. I call it 75 sexy. So you can't be mad at me and say I'm cheating. I'm being honest.
Hey, as long as you don't do 75 soft, it's A-okay with me.
Yeah,
you know those people like, yeah, what if you just do 1 workout and maybe you just read 5 pages? And I'm like, then go ahead and do it, bro. But just don't call it 75 hard, like because that's not what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, but the water was making me sick, so. And I think at that same time they posted that I guess some girl who's doing it, she died from drinking like all that water. So I was like, I'm not trying to die.
There was definitely a little scandal behind that one. But so I know that you have a 300-mile race coming up, right? Yes. So fill us in a little bit about that.
So I'm doing the speed project. I did it last year as part of a relay team, and last year it was like a 340-mile, like that's our OG route, and each of us did like 6-mile segments, and there was 8 of us. So you kind of figure each on average probably it would take an hour for each person. So every time I ran, it was like 7 hours had already passed, and now it's my turn to run, and then I'd get a 7-hour break, and then I run again. But in the end, I think we still ended up doing over 40 miles to do this whole race, right? So, but then. After experiencing that, I realized I saw some solo runners and I realized I could do it solo. So I am doing it, I can't say the date, but it's coming up soon. I'm doing a 300-mile solo from the Santa Monica sign to the Vegas sign. It's 300 miles. It's going through the desert. I spent the last 2 days driving up and down the 15 freeway, or not the 15 freeway, the side streets around the 15 freeway to figure out this route of how I'm going to run it. So now I know the shortcuts in case I ever hit traffic going to Vegas or coming back from Vegas.
Okay.
But the side streets. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And I have a fundraiser. If you go to Toni Ross Runs the World, the link is on my bio. And I'm just trying to do this race. I have a crew of 9 people trying to help me get there, but they're not going to stay with me all days. Like I got 2 people on the first, or 3 people on the first, second day, like 2 people on the 3rd day. Yeah, stuff like that. To like give me food, water, make sure I'm safe.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're definitely adding McDonald's. I know it's so funny. There's a lot of McDonald's stops on my route.
I think you planned that.
No, I honestly copied some other lady, Lucy. She did it last year and the year before. She finished it, I think, one time in 84 miles or 84 hours, and the next time in 82 hours, or the other way around. So I said, okay, well, why reinvent the wheel? I go, she already did her route, then I'll just copy that. And she happened to have a lot of McDonald's stops, probably just as like a mile marker for her crew to know where to drive to. But I was like, oh, it works out for me because that's where I would eat.
Perfect. So before we bring this home, anything else that you have going on that you want people to know about, where they can follow you also?
So I have a YouTube called Strip Club After Hours, and that's right. I think I already say it. I don't know if I said on this. It's just a podcast about people who have left. So it's not Strip Club After Hours as in 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like Strip Club After Hours as in once you completely left the industry, what do you do? And I'm like aiming to like only have guests who are successful or have done successful things since leaving the industry, And I know there are many more people than just myself who've been successful. And then I have my own YouTube too called Toni Ross, but I haven't really posted that much on there, but it has like some of my runs that I did around the world, and I'm going to start adding more to that. What else? And then there's my Instagram, Toni Ross Runs the World.
Toni Ross Runs the World. I
got this race coming up. I'm doing LA Marathon too, so I'm doing LA Marathon first, and then I'm doing the Speed Project next.
Wow, back to back.
Yeah.
Nice. And then what times and I know you said Venus Running Club and the Venus Club, but at what times on Wednesdays?
Oh, it's every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Every Wednesday
Rain
at 8
or
p.m.
shine, heat, whatever. The only time I won't be there is when I'm running TSP. But other than that, we're always there. But somebody will be there. I have people helping me.
Got you. And then how many miles is it? Like, do you have different ones or just one?
It's really just 3 miles is the run. But I do have like a loyal walker who's been coming for the last 3 years, and he just does a 2-mile walk. So he'll walk up to like the street called Magnolia and back and do 2 miles. So if somebody's new, they can join the walking group too.
Nice. And I encourage you guys to do so because, man, it'll change your life.
Yeah, and then we hang out at the club after. It's really fun.
Right on.
We get in free. We get in free, and like I don't know, we get our own little like section area. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and all the girls know. I mean, I worked with some of those girls, so they know me. And other than that, the other girls have learned to know who I am and stuff, and they'll come hang out with us and talk to us.
And they serve drinks right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
so
drink, but
I
I usually buy the first round of drinks. So.
wow, look at
Or
Jesus.
not usually. I always buy the first round of drinks, I should say.
Listen, if you needed anything else to go, like that, there you go. You get a run in, you get a free entry, and you get a beer, or a drink. Wow. We'll be there. We'll be there soon. Okay, so and then I'm adding this new thing because I'm trying to learn of new places to go eat. But I was actually talking about it with my wife coming here on our way over here, and I was like, if you were hungry, right? Like a little bit on the starving side, but you really wanted to eat at one place around LA, but there was a long line, what place would you make that long line for? What's that one restaurant that you would be like, man, it's really good outside of McDonald's? Outside of McDonald's, like what's that one restaurant that you'd be like, man, I want to eat there?
I guess if I had the time, but they do have a long line now. I would say, or at least right now, the Marathon Burger on Melrose.
Really?
I have a run there too every Sunday at 10 a.m.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, because I'm a loyal Nipsey Hussle fan, right? Says the marathon continues right here.
Wow.
So that, like, his brother formed that burger, or his brother and his friends, formed that burger restaurant. And they have really good burgers, fries, shakes. They have breakfast now and stuff. So for a while, I was eating there every Sunday after I ran. So I would run with like Compton, then I would run the 3 miles with the Marathon Burger team, and then we'd eat at Marathon Burger. But like the last couple weekends since the grand opening, it's had like a long line. Like, and if I waited there today, I wouldn't have been able to make it to this. But yeah,
Wow.
You guys got to try Marathon Burger.
Okay, that's definitely on the list. I mean, man, this is my go-to. If it's pizza or burgers, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm there. Last but not least, for any girl that might be in a similar situation that you were growing up, what's some advice that you would give her?
Man, I understand when you're in an abusive relationship, it is hard to get out of it, but like make yourself financially independent, whether you have to like hide money on the side, I don't know, make your own income, like a second form of income maybe that this person doesn't know about. But I think being financially, independent will help you get out of an abusive relationship, because I've been in some that I was stuck and I couldn't leave. And not that they didn't even, right? The one didn't even work.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had me so brainwashed saying, Toni,
Yeah.
you have like, he's like, you've already been married twice. You have 4 kids. Nobody's going to want to be with you. So I was like, okay, I'll just stay with you. Yeah. Don't let people manipulate you into stuff like that. Like honestly, like the next husband, he adopted my 4 kids. He still married me. So having so many husbands and so many kids, it doesn't matter. Don't let people tell you can't find somebody else. But yeah, just be financially independent so that you don't rely on other people and you don't get stuck in these abusive like relationships. Beautiful.
And look, like your past doesn't define your future. The only reason why people continue to repeat their past is because that's where they're living, But if you choose to change your future, you might not be able to change your past, but you can definitely change your future. And the one thing that I learned about money, and it's just piggybacking off what you said, is that money is just a tool. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't make you worse. It's just a tool. And if you know how to use it, you can utilize money to get out of situations where you don't want to be. Right. Whether that's an abusive relationship, whether that's an abusive job. Those do exist too.
Yes.
Those do exist too. Yeah. But with that said, thank you very much, Toni, for coming on to the Vive Con Cris podcast, like sharing your story. Amazing, powerful story. I know that it's going to impact anybody and everybody that gets to hear it. Guys, we're going to put the link down so you guys can go ahead and support Toni not only in her club and her club runs, but on her event for the 300-mile race that's coming up.
Thanks.
Outside of that, anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you for having me. I'm honored that you asked me to be on this show. Yeah.
I'm honored to have you. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.